Shalom, shalom. Before I start, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Yahweh Kakodash, Yahweh, which is the only true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahweh Shai. I would like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, because those are the men who I've learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, and shalom to you, sincere brothers scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. I am the brother Mashiach Arazakah from the servants of Yahweh Yahweh Shai Camp, Las Vegas, Nevada branch. And pretty much this lesson is going to be entitled as Self-Examination is the key in this truth, is one of the keys in this truth. All right, self-examination is one of the keys in this truth. And the reason why I titled this lesson as this is because there's a lot of things that us individually, we have flaws in, and we have to learn to examine those, and fix them, because, hey, we are in these flesh, we have flaws, and the best thing is to examine those flaws, and to try to do better. All right, that's the whole point of self-examining. All right, so the first thing I want to get out is we're going to go into the meaning of examine, and we're going to get the etymology. All right, this is for edification's sake. It says, actually, I'll just go to the main point, because I just want to get the main point. It says examine. It says observe, check out, and look over carefully or inspect. And that's how you got to be in this truth with yourself, with self-examining. All right, you got to look at the things, that you do, or how you carry yourself, what you say, what you do. If you get a rebuke, how you respond. All right, and that all goes in with self-examining. All right, because a lot of us have the spirit of pride, man. Maybe that's something that we gotta learn to fix. Maybe we gotta look at that and humble ourselves down, man, because that's what this truth is mainly about. Do all of that. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to know that we're Israelites. It's a beautiful thing to know the true name of our power, and the only begotten Son, Yahweh Bashim Shai. Yes, it's a beautiful thing to know the scriptures. It's a beautiful thing to go out camp and being able to teach and stand boldly and do all those things. But self-examination is one of the important things you need in this truth, all right? Because that's what's going to partially keep you sustained as well, mainly with the faith. But, self-examining is one thing as well, that you want to have in the truth, is you always want to look at yourself, look at your weaknesses, look at what you can do for yourself individually to make, your spirit better, make you better, because you want to be more, you want to build in being more mature in the spirit as well. Just like how you had to grow up and you had to mature in the flesh, you want to mature in the spirit as well. All right. So this is also with self-examining. That's why Apostle Paul, he said, I spake as a child, thought as a child, but I put away childish things. So you got to mature in this truth as well. You got to learn to mature, and that goes with self-examining. All right, so let's get to the scriptures. All right, let's get to the scriptures. This is 2 Corinthians 13:5. It says, examine yourselves. And remember, we went into the meaning of that word examine. It means to inspect. All right, observe or inspect yourself. All right, look at the things that you're doing in the truth. Look at the things, how you're presenting yourself. How you're treating a brother. That's also with self-examining. Looking at if you're prideful, that's self-examining. Looking at, your flaws and how you carry yourself in the truth, how you break things down, how you read the scriptures, that's all with self-examining. Looking at yourself, am I humble? If I'm diligent, that's all with self-examining. Am I carrying myself the right way, the right manner? Am I behaving in the right attitude? That's always self-examining. It says whether ye be in the faith. See, whether you be in the faith. So yes, you have the faith, but you also need the tools that apply with the faith. And one of the tools or one of the main keys is self-examining. You know, another key is being humble. But self-examining is one of the main things you need in the truth. All right, that's one thing that I one of the keys I'm trying to reach. That's one of my second goals. My first goal for me that I always try to work on the most is being humble. My second goal, mainly that I want to do always, is examine myself. All right, that's a second thing for me. I got my own um, goals that I have to do for me and my spiritual walk, and you brothers got to look at your own goals. Because the goals that I'm saying on this camera may not be for you. It may be for other brothers. All right, but it may not be for you, because each brother has their own goals that they have to reach, their own in the spirit. When I say goals, I'm talking about your spirit. There's things that you got to work on. Not every single brother has the exact same goals, and I'm just speaking for myself. For me, I'm working on being humble and examining myself. I want to be more sincere and understanding of the things that I do, the things that I bring out, the way I carry myself. That's how you are to be in the truth. Well, that's how I feel for myself, first and foremost. It says prove your own self. See, prove your own self. Because self-examining is basically of your own self to prove, all right? Prove to. Because you're showing yourself worthy in the eyes of the Lord, so you got to fix yourself in His truth. Each and every one of us have flaws that we may lack, but we got to fix them, through the Spirit. It says, know ye not your own selves. See, how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. And, that reprobate is, as a person, that word reprobate, it means rejected, all right? And you don't want to be rejected of the Lord, man. That's why you want to always, be embedded in, self-examining, all right? And this is Galatians 6:3. It says, for if a man think of himself to be something, and this is the problem, Jake, they get, too boasted up in the knowledge, or they get too boasted up, of how long they've been in the truth, or they just get boasted up in themselves in general. They don't stay in the right spirit. It says when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself, right? Because you got Jakes in this truth that get too high-minded, in this truth. They get too high-minded in the truth. They thinking they self is something because either, certain situations with them, being in a particular group, and I'm not saying this towards any brother, but I'm just saying in general, there's Jakes, that do get in a camp and they start getting a high ego. They don't, the humbleness, it starts to go away, and they just get kicked up because they got accepted into a group. And I'm speaking for myself first and foremost. Just because you're in a camp, you start your own camp, or you join a particular group, all right, you don't want to have that high-minded type ego. You always want to stay lowly and always being humble. It says when he is nothing, because you ain't shit, I ain't shit, we ain't shit without Yahweh Shemashai. So you don't want to have a high ego in the truth. It says he deceived himself, and that's true. You deceive yourself. When you have a high ego in this truth, you deceive yourself. And you don't want to do that. That's why I always say for myself, one thing for me, one of my main goals that I'm trying to reach for me individually is being more humble. Brothers say I'm sincere, but I want to be more humble. I want to be more understanding. If a brother is rebuking me, I want to be more understanding of myself. I'm trying to understand myself and get myself in order. All right, because any brother can say they know they self, but do you truly understand yourself when it comes to self-examining? All right, are you looking at the things that you are doing individually? Verse 4, it says, but let every man prove his own work, because that's the thing. That's what it's about. It says, then so like it says, and then shall he have rejoiced in himself alone, right? Because you're achieving, you're fixing yourself, you're self-examining yourself, you're building yourself up. All right, you're proving to yourself in your own works. That's why the scriptures say, work out your own salvation. And self-examining is one of those things. Self-examining is one of those main things, man. And that's something I'm rejoicing in, because I'm looking at the things that I'm doing, and I pray the Lord keep me in that same spirit. And also to you other brothers out there that's tuning into this lesson, self-examining is one of the biggest things in the truth, that is very pleasing to the Lord. because the Lord shows the Lord that you're trying, you're being diligent, you're being sincere, you're being humble, you know. You're really trying to get yourself right, and that's what matters in the eyes of the Lord. That can also help you receive salvation. That's why brothers that's not diligent, that's not doing lessons, this is self-examining. And if you know you're that individual, that's a good thing. You're examining yourself because you're pleasing the Lord. You're trying to do right, and that's what it's about. It says, then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. Right, because you're fixing yourself. You're getting yourself right. Verse 5, for every man shall bear his own burdens. Right, because we all have our own burdens. If you're being slothful, that can be a burden to you in the truth. All right, if you're being slothful, that can be a burden to yourself in the truth. All right, if you're not being brotherly, that can be a burden to you in the truth. You know, so these are things you want to look at. If you're not humble, that can be a burden to you in the truth. Your humility, you know. If you have a lack of faith, that can be a burden to you in the truth. Because how are you going to be able to sustain the truth if you have doubts? You know, so these are things that individually we got to work on. Brothers got anxieties. That could be a burden to you in the truth. You having panic attacks, all these things happening to you, that could be a burden to you in the truth. That's why you want to repent. You want to pray to the Lord, ask the Lord to deliver you out of those various situations that I'm stating. Whatever it is that you are going through individually, those can be burdens to you. That's why you want to examine yourself. You want to pray to the Lord. You want to ask the Lord to deliver you out of those situations, man. All right, and I'm speaking for myself first and foremost. This is 1 Corinthians 11 and 28. Salakia. It says, but let a man examine himself. See, examine yourself, inspect, observe yourself, man. Looking at the things that you are doing in the truth. All right, even teaching false doctrine, that's self-examining. You know, making sure you're not going off on the scriptures. You know, that's what's self-examining. It says, and so let him eat of the bread and drink of that cup. All right. And that's the main thing spiritually. We got this word, man. We're eating and drinking. We have that word. It says, verse 29, for he that eateth and drinketh unworthily. See, and this talking about the truth, man. This word, this gospel. It says, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself. It says, not discerning the Lord's body. So you want to examine yourself. You want to build in this truth and grow and mature. You want to mature, man. Because if you're not eating and drinking, right, spiritually, which is of this word, because you got a lot of brothers that quote it, that do lessons on it, but they're not living what they're saying. They're saying, but they're not living it. You don't want to be that individual. Whatever you're bringing out in your lesson, you want to make sure that you're doing those things that you're bringing out in your videos. Because if you're not doing those things, you're actually a hypocrite. All right? And you don't want to be those hypocrite individuals. You want to live what you say. All right? And that's the thing, being a doer, not a hearer, being a doer, man. Verse 30, it says, for this cause many are weak and sickly among you. Yeah, spiritually. Because if you're not living what you're doing, that's a hypocrite, man. Especially if you're not examining yourself. You just going out here just being any way you want to. That's not what this is about. It says, in many sleep, verse 31, for if we would judge ourselves, because that's what self-examining is about, it says we should not be judged, right? Because if you're examining yourself individually, you're looking at the things that you're doing, you're looking at the flaws, how you're carrying yourself, or whatever you're doing wrong, you're examining that, you're fixing that. There ain't going to be no one needing to judge you, rebuke you. Because that's basically what judging is basically rebuking you. It's reproving you, correcting you. You don't even need no one to rebuke you. If you're examining yourself and fixing the things, the flaws that you're doing, all of us have flaws, even me. Because none of us is perfect. Not in these mortal bodies. No, we're not perfect. It says, but when we are judged, we are chastised of the Lord. Right? Because when we're judged, who's correcting us? The men of the Lord, the prophets, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. All right? So we being chastised by the Lord. It's basically getting you right. All right? Getting you right. That's what it's about. That we should not be condemned with the world, because the world is going to be condemned. The world is going to be destroyed. Those of you 2/3 Israelites that's not coming to the truth, you're going to be condemned. You're going to be destroyed. All right? You don't want to be condemned with the world. That's why you want to examine yourself. You want to get yourself right and in order, man, and really taking heed to the scriptures. And I'm speaking for myself first and foremost. Lamentations 3:40. It says, let us search and try our ways. So you got to search yourself. You got to really look at the flaws that you have in this truth that you need to fix. That's what self-examining. That's what exhortation. All right. It says, and turn again to the Lord. See, turn again to the Lord. So you want to fix your flaws, man. You want to repent, fix your flaws, get yourself in order, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You know, this is Romans 12:3. It says, for I say through the grace given unto me, because we all have grace. We have grace, absolutely, but it's not eternal. It says, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, right? Because and I'll use this as an example. I'm not saying brothers is doing this. So brothers that's tuning in, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying you're doing this or any brothers doing this. But let's just say you because you're accepted in a particular group, now you're looking at yourself highly. Your ego goes up. And then when you see a brother that's not, in a particular group like you are, you're looking down on him. And you're starting to be a bully or things like that. You don't want to be doing that. You're thinking yourself highly ego because you got accepted to a group and the other brother didn't. Now you're looking down on him. Well, I made it into a group and you didn't. So now you're treating that brother different because you're in a group. That's not being brotherly. And I'm not saying Jakes is doing this. I'm just using that as an example. You're looking at yourself highly that you ought to think. You don't want to be doing that, right? It says, but to think soberly, right? Think righteously, man. Think through the spirit, still treat that individual like your own brother, man. Don't belittle him because you're in a group and that individual isn't. Because just because you're in a group, that doesn't mean that you could be of the elect. That don't mean that. Just because you got accepted to a group and the other brother didn't, that don't mean, I'm just using this as an example, that doesn't mean that you're the elect. That individual that's not in a group could be the elect, and you probably not the elect. So you don't want to look at yourself highly minded than anyone else. That also goes in with self-examining, because you don't want to be doing that. I'm just using that as an example. It says, according as Yahweh have dealt to every man that measure of faith, right? Because just because a brother look down on you, that don't mean the Lord looks at you that way. All right? And just because you're in a group and another brother is, and you're looking down on him, the Lord ain't looking down on him because he's doing the works. He could be doing more works than you can, That don't mean nothing, So you don't want to be highly minded in this thing. That's also a self-examining. So you want to fully be humble, and this is something, that's why I said, this is something that I work on with myself all the time, man. I want to be humble. I want to do right, man. Lord willing through the Spirit, Lord keep me and any brother out there, even our camp, even to the elders, apostles, great millstone brothers out there, man. Lord keep us all in the right spirit always, because you never know. Lord can take you out of truth, anything. So when you in this mortal body, man, you always want to be humble. Psalms 119:59. I thought on my ways. See, I thought on my ways. And you got to do the same. You got to think on your ways, man. That's the biggest thing with self-examining. Looking at your ways. Looking at how you carry yourself. How you present yourself. How you teaching the scriptures, How you being towards another individual. All right? These are the things you got to self-examine with. All right? It says, and turn my feet onto thy testimonies. All right? And actually, when you go into testimony, you probably can't hear it, Salakia. It says, a formal written or spoken statement, especially one given in a court of law, evidence or proof provided by existence or appearance of something. Right. Testimony, a public recounting of a religious conversation or experience, man. All right. So that's what it's about. All right. That's what it's about. So, hey, man, again, through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Bashimashai, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to read this one more time for edification's sake. Examine, man. Examination, self-examination. Examine. It says, Salakia, observe, check out, and overlook carefully or inspect. And that's how you got to be with yourself in this truth, man. All right? Self-examination, man. That's the key. one of the keys. So, hey, man, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Mahawakakodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahushai. And I would like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. And shalom to you, sincere brothers scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. I am your brother Mashiach Razakah from the Servants of Yahweh Yahushai Camp, Las Vegas, Nevada branch. And Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until the next time I say, shalom.